Well, welcome, brothers and sisters. It's good to spend some time with you again this week. Just a couple things. Of course, you heard, I'm sure, that they're requesting us to stay at home now for at least to the end of April, or at least restrict our travel. And also that as far as church schedule, this coming Sunday, Easter Sunday, we'll be joining one another like this again. It won't be worship. Love Feast also is postponed at this point, not canceled, just postponed. And once we're able to be back together again, we will schedule a time that we can gather for Love Feast. So as we get together during this week, I want to share two scriptures with you. The first is from Luke chapter 19, verses 41 and part of 42. As Jesus came near and saw Jerusalem, he wept over it, saying, "If even you, had only recognized on this day the things that make for peace." And then from John 14:27, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid." Well, on Tuesday morning, I got up early and had breakfast and made my way to the supermarket, which opened at 7 o'clock in the morning. There were about a half dozen people lined up and waiting for the doors to open, and more of us who were leaving our cars to make our way into the store. Before leaving, I did the hand sanitizers and took a disinfectant wipe with me so I could wipe off the handles of the cart. Surprisingly, the shelves were pretty well stocked, except for that paper goods aisle, of course. My list included a few things Kathy wanted to do some baking and some staples that we were running low on at that point. As I walked the aisles, I noticed there were a few people wearing masks and a few that were wearing gloves. And I was surprised that with a few adjustments, I was able to find everything on my list. That's certainly not always been the case as the last couple of trips I've made to the store. So I returned to my car and repeated the hand sanitizer routine once more. Well, on my drive home, I got to thinking about how blessed Kathy and I have been in these last couple of weeks. So far, none of our family is showing any signs of this COVID-19 virus. All of our children are still employed. The call to serve as your interim pastor has given me a sense of purpose during this time of isolation from one another. It occurred to me how easy it would be to become despondent and shed tears in these days when the news is of even more cases and deaths from COVID-19 to come. Well, as Jesus looked over Jerusalem, he shed some tears. They weren't tears for himself. They were tears because his heart was broken, he said, for all those who didn't know the things that make for peace. Now, I'm sure there is much today for which Jesus is shedding tears. For families who can't be with dying loved ones. For doctors and nurses who are giving of themselves and their last ounce of energy for their patients, and in doing so, risk infection of themselves. And for those who have lost jobs and wonder how they're going to feed their family or pay their bills. For the homeless who have no place to go. I could go on. There's certainly enough happening right now around us for any one of us to shed tears along with Jesus. So how in the midst of all this do we find some of that peace Jesus talked about? Peace not as the world gives, his kind of peace. That's a question that came to mind as I was driving home from the store. How do we not let our hearts be troubled nor afraid during these days? What is it that during this time will turn our tears to joy, will help us experience this peace that Jesus wants us to give? I think it's a matter of faith and a matter of a perspective founded on faith. It's a matter of faith, a matter of keeping the faith during this time of uncertainty. It's a matter of remembering what faith in Jesus Christ means. Paul says that faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. Faith is assurance. Faith is knowing. Now, personally, I believe Christian faith is always looking forward. It's a faith built on hope. Christian faith is, as the hymn writer says, strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. In Philippians 3, Paul says, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal for the prize of the heavenly call of God in Christ Jesus. Faith enables us to press on, to look forward to those things God has in store for us in Christ Jesus. Paul goes on to say, rejoice in the Lord always. Again I say, rejoice. Let your gentleness be known to everyone. The Lord is near. Don't worry about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Well, this peace also, I think, is a matter of perspective founded in faith. Are you lacking, or are you blessed? Are you stuck at home, or are you safe at home? Is this time of social distancing making you feel isolated? Or is it causing you to look for new and creative ways to be in touch with your family, with friends and neighbors? Has homeschooling your children become a task to be done, or an opportunity to develop a stronger relationship with them? I've read several articles this week which compare what we're experiencing now to the Spanish flu pandemic in 1918. And much of what was experienced back then, we are experiencing today. Isolation, caretakers becoming ill. It was a difficult time, and there were many more deaths then than we have so far with COVID-19. We live in a time where we have 100 years of medical discoveries working in our favor. In spite of great suffering, the world recovered and life went on, and here we are. Now, I don't seek to diminish the fact that many are suffering today, and many will probably still die. My point is that we can allow the difficulties of our current situation to cause us worry and stress, or we can choose to place our hope in the midst of our troubles in the eternal promises of God in Christ Jesus, and there find his peace. Peace is a perspective founded on faith and living in and knowing the hope that is ours in Christ Jesus. Peace is the strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow found in our faith in Jesus Christ. So in the midst of all the challenges of these days, may you hold fast to faith, and may you know the peace of Christ that passes all understanding. Be blessed. Thank you.